But we begin this morning, where the Kremlin is responding to potential security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says discussing security issues without Moscow is a, quote, road to nowhere. His comments come as President Trump said no American troops will be on the ground in Ukraine, but did not rule out the possibility of air support. For more on this, let's go to CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro, who's joining me from the White House lawn to talk more about this. So Aaron, the White House and the European leaders are working to craft these security guarantees. What are you hearing?
Yeah, we're hearing that it will be Secretary of State Marco Rubio who will be leading the U.S. effort to finalize the details on security guarantees. We know that later today there will be a virtual meeting of NATO member countries and U.S. defense officials to talk more about this and getting the details done. On the U.S. side, as you mentioned, President Trump has kept the door open in terms of U.S. defense support, but ruled out putting U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine for whatever this peacekeeping effort looks like. Though President Trump did say yesterday in a Fox News interview that it'll be the United Kingdom, France, and Germany who will be leading this effort in the security guarantees, at least from his current understanding of where things stand. And I think it is important to mention, as you said, that once you bring in Russia's input on this, that's where things could get really tricky, as they have signaled that they discussing security guarantees without their input is, quote, a road to nowhere, and that they believe that there should be some Russian forces involved with the peacekeeping efforts and what a security guarantee looks like for Ukraine. So certainly a lot of things to work out, even beyond the U.S. and Europe.
And so the White House, Aaron, says that plans are currently underway for a Putin-Zelensky meeting. What do we know about that?
Yeah, we know that their goal is to lock in a place and a date within the next 10 days. One potential site CBS News is learning about is Budapest in Hungary as a potential place for that bilateral meeting between Putin and Zelensky. One source with knowledge of the planning said that Hungary has, quote, expressed its openness to host the talks. We also know that during that Monday phone call between President Trump and Russian President Putin, Putin suggested Moscow as a site for a bilateral meeting, though the understanding is that Zelensky would be very unlikely to accept that and travel there. The Kremlin throughout this week has looked to pour cold water on a bilateral meeting, saying that a meeting of that kind between the heads of state in Russia and Ukraine would take a while to plan for the logistics and security. But White House officials have repeated that they heard from President Putin in that call with Trump on Monday that he promised and agreed to a bilateral meeting.
All right, Aaron Navarro at the White House for us this morning. Aaron, thank you. Amid the diplomatic flurry to secure an end to the war in Ukraine, NATO defense chiefs are expected to meet virtually to discuss the potential security guarantees for Kyiv. Those guarantees could prove crucial for Ukraine to sign on to any agreement. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams has more from the Ukrainian capital.
To agree to any peace deal, Ukrainians want to know exactly what security guarantees are on the table. And by security guarantees, they mean protection from the US and other countries if Russia invades again. Remember, Russia invaded in 2014 and in 2022, and international agreements have failed to protect Ukraine. So they have some trust issues. The Trump administration has ruled out NATO membership for Ukraine, which would protect the country. Russia has ruled out peacekeepers from NATO countries. Finding something that would be acceptable to all parties may be next to impossible. Meanwhile, overnight here in Ukraine, a Russian drone attack targeted an industrial area in the Odessa region, according to officials, starting a large fire. Another drone attack wounded 14 in the Sumy region, including 3 children. So while others talk about peace, Ukrainians are still living and dying in a war zone. And many Ukrainians tell us that they simply do not believe that Vladimir Putin really wants to end the war, or that he'll stick to any peace agreement that he signs. Russia's foreign minister said yesterday that Russia is not against a meeting between Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky, but it would have to be prepared very carefully. That sounds as if the Russian leader may already be slow-walking things. Holly Williams, CBS News, Kyiv, Ukraine.